Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would talk about a vehicle which we've just got a bunch of new information about, which could definitely come to War Thunder in the future and would be the next big generation when it comes to MBTs. I'm talking about the Leopard 2A8. This is Germany's new MBT. There was more details that were revealed to the public recently, and I thought we would go through them and also talk about how this vehicle would fit in War Thunder and what it will look like. When it comes to vehicles like this, you know for a fact they're going to turn up in War Thunder. It's just a matter of time and how many vehicles are going to be added before stuff like the Leopard 2A8 comes in. It also shows that War Thunder will always have new vehicles to bring in, especially since new vehicles are always being made when it comes to real life. So let's have a look at the Leopard 2A8, how it differs from the other Leopard 2s, and also its impact when it gets added to War Thunder. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's get started. So what is the Leopard 2A8? It's the new German MBT, which is being developed by KNDS, which is Krauss Maffei Wegmann, and also Nexter. The Leopard 2A8 is being marketed as the first new battle tank that Germany has had since 1992. And the reason for this is because the Leopard series since 1992 has just been upgrades on the standard chassis. So if you have a look at like the 2A5, the 6, the 7, all of them have been built up off on the same chassis. Whereas according to all of the news articles, the 2A8 is a brand new build. Now, what does this bring along? Well, it brings along a bunch of different changes. Of course, a lot of the areas are classified, but the idea is it has a lot better armor than the previous vehicles. It also has a massive rework of the FCS, or the fire control system for the crew, and also situational awareness system. One of the biggest things, though, one of the biggest impacts of it is that it has its own version, its domestically produced version of the Trophy Active Protection System. This is obviously the active protection system developed by Israel's Rafael, who have been working with KNDS on this project too, to give this vehicle enhanced protection. So it won't just have passive protection, it will also have active protection as well. There are many other little features of the vehicle that are also improved, but the main interesting thing to me is this vehicle is going to be around 70 tons, and it still has the classic Rheinmetall 120mm, which will be part of the weapons package. A lot of vehicles or a lot of news sites always talk about the idea of bringing in the 130mm or even bigger guns, but it looks like the Germans are happy with the Leopard 2A8 having the standard 120mm. And what's also interesting is with the Leopard 2A8 being announced over the last few years and more information coming out about it, it isn't just Germany that is going to get access to this thing. Lithuania, the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, and even Norway are all planning to add this vehicle to their armed forces. And with deliveries starting in the next few years, it wouldn't be too surprising to see these vehicles all around the place. Lithuania is supposed to be purchasing 44 vehicles, same with the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands are purchasing 46 of the framework contract as it's known. So that, I think, is at least kind of interesting. Also, the vehicle itself isn't in full production yet. Germany itself has ordered 123 Leopard 2A8s, and the vehicles will enter service in 2027 to 2030. So even though we're seeing some early versions of this vehicle, it could technically change before it gets into service, but probably not a huge amount. It also has updated electronics, of course, on the vehicle. It doesn't really have what looks like a lot of anti-drone protection, apart from, of course, the APS and maybe some passive systems that it has on top of the turret. So overall, this vehicle is looking pretty cool. And as a new step into the modernization of MBTs and the next generation, I'm sure it'll have access to some new technologies that we'll find out later. The simple fact is the 2A8 is going through its tests right now. It's going through its service tests and also field tests, so we'll see what goes on with it and what moves around. For me personally, I just think it looks really awesome. And as a person who is always interested to see these new vehicles and to see what they're going to do, it'll be interesting, especially once these vehicles get added to War Thunder. War Thunder has a metric ton of content when it comes to high-tier MBTs. If you think about just the Leopard series in general, even just the Leopard 2s, we have a bunch of the prototypes, and then we have the 2A4, the mainstay, the 2A5 with the upgraded armor, the 2A6 with the upgraded gun, and then the 2A7 with the upgraded survivability. The 2A8 marries all of those ideas together, and then adds even more survivability to the vehicle, which makes a big difference in War Thunder. One of the big issues with high-tier War Thunder ground forces is of course CAS, whether it is the fire and forget missiles from helicopters or the fire and forget missiles from aircraft. And Germany in general has always been a nation that has lacked a little bit in terms of CAS. They still have, of course, the PARs on their helicopter, the UHT, and also now they have the Swiss to help them out, but they're definitely not as strong as Russia and also America in that area. So having systems on their MBTs that would defend them against CAS coming in, along with the IRIS, which has just been added, would be really cool to see. And the trophy would be able to do that as long as it has some good high elevation angles on it to be able to intercept certain munitions. As somebody who has played some of the Macavers and also the Neymar Trixon, which has access to the trophy APS, it only recently got fixed after maybe a year or even two of just not working. But now that it's working, you're actually able to defend yourself again. And the idea of a German MBT getting access to that with also the great mobility that the Leopards have and the great guns and the DM53 sounds incredibly fun and very much meta-defining for the vehicle itself. This vehicle also has a bit of anti-mine protection added to it as well, which just means a little bit more armor on the bottom of it, which could help with artillery strikes and also explosive stuff. But mainly what you're looking at from this machine is just another push towards craziness. Also, what might be interesting in terms of War Thunder when it comes to vehicles like this is if they add in a more updated FCS, meaning that maybe there's a bit more automation with it. Maybe it will auto-lead for you. Maybe it will be able to see targets for you. That is a step in War Thunder that isn't really talked about too much, but also could easily happen in the next generation of MBTs, because technically it does in real life. These FCSs are pretty impressive nowadays, but also it takes away a lot from the player if they decide to add them in. So we'll have to see if they decide to do that or not and what's going to happen. For me personally, I look forward to new MBTs coming to the high tiers. We haven't had a lot of MBTs more recently. It's mainly just been light tanks and also variants of what we've already seen before, such as millions of Leopards to many different tech trees. But with the Leopard 2A8 coming not just to Germany, but also other nations, we could see it in the French tech tree, we could see it in the Swedish tech tree, we could also see it in the German tech tree, and probably others too. So maybe everybody, at the end of the day, will get a Leopard 2A8. Let me know your thoughts on the vehicle, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.